back with another episode of Saturday Night Ladies. I am Liz Behrens.
And I am Shari Fesco.
And I'm Demi Constantine.
And we are your Saturday Night Ladies. We are here to talk about the latest episode, which I'm excited to talk about. Season 51, Episode 17, with the velvet voice, Coleman Domingo, and the awesome Anitta. So I really did love this episode. I really did. Like, he should have been hosting a long time ago, and I hope he comes back. Because, well, not only is he damn fine, definitely fit in with the show well, because, you know, he is extremely talented. So we'll just get right into it. Okay, get your big dumb cup, put on your big dumb hat, and let's talk about Saturday Night Live. Take it away, Shari.
Hello. It's good to be here. I don't know that I'm quite as enthusiastic as Deej about this episode, but I guess we'll get into that. This may be one where we might disagree a little more than we usually do, and that's not a bad thing. So, all right, well, let's get into it, and we're going to start with the cold open. As I was watching this, I could hear Deej in my ear going, "Another Trump cold open." And yes, it's Trump making phone calls.
Well, we were about up for one anyway, so, you know, I can't give them too much flack for us not have one last week, so.
That is true. We did get a break. But we get Jadge as Trump, Ashley as Caroline Levitt, Chloe as Melania, Keenan as Tiger Woods, Colin as Hegseth. My only note was, ho-hum. It was fine. I didn't have any major complaints about it. I am excited to watch the Emma City Melania that I hear is on SNL UK, because I'm interested to compare and contrast the two. And I'm sure we'll be doing more of that when we talk about the ladies of SNL UK, which I know we have on deck for one of our off weeks. But yeah, not much to say here. It was a cold open. It was funny enough. I didn't hate it.
Yeah, I did like the fact that he pointed out that Ashley played Bondi Gnome and now
Carolyn Levitt.
Yeah. Well, I hate saying your name, so face is going to appear right behind me or something. Not a fan. Called as Hegseth, point with that, but it was basically let's just catch up on all the little things. Now, I did actually watch SNL UK just before this. So, Emma City gave her a very specific walk, because she's kind of like coming out of the bushes. They're good in their own way. They each have their own take on it. The makeup for on both sides of the pond was really good. I think you will be pleased.
I'm really looking forward to that then. Yeah, another Trump cold open. I can hear the collective SNL fan community groan a sigh every time a Trump cold open comes on. And frankly, I do too, but it's like, okay, I don't know why it's not going to happen. Joseph Hegseth, you know, chef's kiss as always. The tone is perfect, and I super appreciate it. Appreciate the meta reference alluding to Ashley Padilla playing different characters in the Trump administration. Characters was used on purpose. Pretty okay. I think there was something about a headline about there was a call ahead of something. I think must have happened like within a few hours, because it was a headline simultaneously with SNL article headlines that were coming out. I think SNL like did something like super within a few hours topical on that one, but I can't confirm a timeline of it. But overall, you know.
All right, let's move on down the track to our monologue with Mr. Coleman Domingo. Looking very, as Deej said, not hard to look at. I've been a fan. He's just an amazing actor. I was a huge Walking Dead fan, and I watched Fear the Walking Dead for a long time, and he was one of the reasons I kept watching, even when I was getting ready to be done. He is really excellent, and apparently was on the big dumb, I can't remember the name of the sketch show he was on.
The Big Gay Sketch Show.
Big Gay Sketch Show, thank you. So he has a sketch background, which didn't surprise me. I mean, this guy can do anything. So I enjoyed the monologue where he's talking about his many projects, and then that he's going to get the vibe going, which he's just kind of a set the vibe kind of guy. I enjoyed that. A lot of Jeremy tonight. Not heavy doses, but in a lot of sketches. He was getting picked on a lot. But I feel like Jeremy is one of those that's going to get picked on a lot. He's very funny. Coleman finally gets him to look correctly in the camera. Nothing super special. It's another one of those, let's get to know the host because this is his first time kind of monologues. Funny enough, I enjoyed it. I really like Coleman. I agree with Deej that he fits right in, and I'm sure he'll come back. I would think he would come back.
Well, my thoughts on this is I wasn't really relying too much on funny, just more setting a vibe. The lady who was talking to in the audience is one of the writers. I liked them having the interplay of the band, especially Leon, and then the stuff they're doing with Jeremy, so you have to work your angles. I'm not upset that it wasn't very ha funny, but yeah, I got to look at him and hear him, and yeah, that was pretty much all I needed.
I am going to go out and say ahead of time, spoiler alert, that I love this episode. And I don't think I've ever knowingly seen Cole Domingo act in anything ever. Like, I've been aware of him as actually, I didn't really know what his deal was, but I know people knew who he was. Who was he in The Walking Dead?
He wasn't in The Walking Dead. He was in the second show.
I don't think I watched
sibling show, Fear of the Walking Dead.
I thought Fear of the Walking Dead was like a panel discussion afterward.
No, that's Talking Dead. I've watched it all. I used to be a super geek, giant fan of Walking Dead. I have autographs from the celebrities and stuff.
Oh my God.
I quit after what they did to Glenn. I just couldn't go anymore.
Oh my God, that was brutal.
Yeah, a lot of people left after that. But anyways, Coleman is one of the main characters and sort of semi-villain. He does bad really well. And he's sort of the villain. Not exactly. He's like shades of gray. But he's very good in it. And I guess he's supposed to be very good in Euphoria. And now he's going to be Joe Jackson in the new Michael biopic. So he's
got stuff going on.
I have seen the 4 seasons. I know he's in that, so I think I need to do a rewatch.
He's in that too.
Because I was paying more attention to the main cast. So I'll have to rewatch that, specifically pay attention to the stuff that he does. And if you haven't watched the 4 seasons, it is quite good. Loosely based on the play by Neil Simon. I'm a huge Neil Simon fan.
Oh.
Yes.
It was a movie too, of really.
Well, it was a play, then a movie. When I was in school, like they had this big volume of all of this plays I'd be reading about in my bedroom. And so for theater, it's all about Neil Simon. For musicals, Stephen Sondheim.
Oh, R.I.P. Yeah, so I was delighted by his showmanship and his confidence in who he is. I want to make SNL conform to my style. Control the mood lighting, control the camera angle, and it was very much in command of what he wanted it to be, which I respect. I don't even think I've heard his voice before. I will say, so I love that. I love him calling out the black keyboard player that doesn't, like, whenever a band never get to shout out, it's exciting. So I'm glad you brought that up, Deej. And I did want to point out real quick, Jeremy Culhane is really funny. So when he came out to do like the vamp look or whatever, and he kind of got it, but like not good enough for Coleman Domingo. The way he exited was so slow, just enough eye contact, just enough self-awareness. It was very funny, and it's following Ashley Padilla's footsteps of really respecting silences and pauses, really maximizing them. I don't know whether it's because of her influence or whether that's how he was trained. It was really funny and very much appreciated. I enjoyed the monologue.
I'm very much crushing on Jeremy, I have to admit, because just the kind of guy that I like.
Move on into our first live sketch of the night, Fashion District Robbery, with Jadge and Ashley as the news people, Chloe, Marcelo, Jane, Mikey, and Coleman. Coleman is the instructor and his students. I was a huge Project Runway fan back in the day, so this is what they are like. I mean, exaggerated, of course. But they are everything, what you live is how you see the world. And they filter everything through a fashion lens. So, of course, the picture of the feet and the no socks and the Crocs. And I think it was quite funny. And then I loved Mikey's, like, obviously Tim Gunn inspired Dean. I mean, I feel like he was channeling Tim Gunn. I was lucky enough to meet Tim Gunn in person for like 1 second. He's an absolute he's so charming and so sweet, and exactly what you see is what you get. And I think Mikey was channeling him beautifully. Just zipping by. And then, of course, Ashley, the queen of the silences, the queen of the facial expressions, exasperated with all of it. And that hat, I don't know where Chloe got that hat, but she is working that hat. And, again, Jane and her trademark just very dry one-liners and her green hair. I thought everybody was having a great time here and nobody broke. Coleman is definitely a first-timer that's not a breaker. He keeps it, and you can tell he wants to, but he doesn't. And you can tell that he's having a very good time, that everybody's having a good time with him. So I very much thought this was a fun way to kick off the show. And I thought they captured the essence of how fashion students and instructors would react to a robbery. I think this is not far from the truth. And I love, of course, Jadge back in the studio, having emulated Coleman's look. What a way. Perfect button. So yeah, lots of fun way to get the night started.
I was also a big Project Runway fan. I have a particular love for Kristen Serrano. I love the fact that I can't remember if it was for the Golden Globes or for the Emmys, and Leslie Jones was having a hard time finding a designer to do her dress. And Kristen Serrano stepped up. She looked awesome. And as you had your brush with Tim Gunn, I had briefly met Stephen Sondheim. Because I was part of a theater company that does like on book reading productions of musicals, and we were doing. Stephen Sondheim was in town, so we got him for a little seminar, and I got to briefly meet him and tell him how much I loved Sunday at the Park with George. So that was a nice moment for me. But back to this. Oh, yes. I love all of this. Every little bit. It from the top to the bottom. And, of course, we know where we got the hat. That was the costume department doing their awesome thing. And it is very much what a high fashion thing would look like. I can't go through every line because there's so many, but everything was completely bang on. And I know in the chat last night that there's some people who thought that Jane wasn't really needed in the sketch. I highly disagree with that. It provides a contrast, gives Coleman a chance to be extra bitchy. Technically, she would be the one that would give the most accurate description of the person who did the crime. But that counterpoint was kind of needed because you always have the things where they love fashion, but they're not necessarily good at fashion. But this is I want to say it's my sketch of the night, but I have to just remind myself of the other sketches to see if I still agree with that statement.
I love this so much because whenever there's a news desk, you're like, oh, what are they going to do? I get a little bit excited. Like, oh, what are they going to do? Ooh, correspondent interview, man on the street. Ooh. So first of all, I've been to the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York City, and the set design of like the really black industrial looking girders in the back was so accurate. Like that is what it looks like. There's like a catwalk it looks like a catwalk, I think. Like I was so impressed I got that. And I think the big hat, someone on Reddit was saying it was supposed to be a hat Zendaya wore recently. So it was like a really like current trend. One of the this episode, I liked it so much because it made me laugh out loud so many times. One of the lines Chloe had, I was like, oh my god. They're criticizing the conceit of the sketch is there was a bank robbery and they're interviewing these people on the street that happen to be attendees at the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York City, and they're getting witness statements from them, but they're all dressed up like fashionistas with the exception of Jane. So they're describing what the suspect was wearing as opposed to anything else, so it's not really helpful. And what is Chloe describes his outfit as, he looked like he was unemployed because that outfit was not working, which was the greatest line ever. Jane is just trying to describe, like, was wearing a gray hoodie, and like Coleman Domingo gets so mad, or like, go back to Connecticut. He's so mad that she's even talking. And people on Reddit were saying that they know the writers know that Reddit likes him. Characters yell at Jane because that has been happening a lot. And Jane is just like haplessly like, what's a lame sweatshirt? And they're like, stop it. Like they're all dressed like ridiculous fashionistas. Like Coleman Domingo's wig is insane. It's like the perfectly coiffed bob. Everyone is so funny. Very Project Runway, very RuPaul's Drag Race. If you imagine all the stereotypes that they did it was very funny. Contrasted with Jane, and people are just yelling at Jane for not being fashion forward, which was very funny and meta. So I was hooting at the one-liners in the sketch. I can't remember all of them, but Oh my God. I was like, yeah, let's do this. Let's do this.
I completely forgot to mention Mikey. Doing these little drive-by comments and does that each exit that he did, like the very last one, he was like stretched his neck out and like elongating it. Just each entrance and exit was not the same. He looked damn good that way. So what the part he was playing, he played really well.
This is kind of a nice segue from the runway to the barbershop. Our first pre-tape of the night is barbershop. And it has Coleman, Keenan, Cam, Mikey, Tommy, Ben, and of course, Jane again. Big night for Jane. Jane and Jeremy, double J's, like tearing it up in the sketches tonight. This was, I thought, quite clever, talking about the barbershop being a therapy outlet and only $50. You know what? I've heard that that's true. I'm not a big salon or barbershop, but I've heard that I know that stylists hear it all. I say as a librarian that I'm a bartender with books, and I think that stylists are basically bartenders with clippers or shears. So I thought this was spot on. Now the advice they were giving, maybe a little shaky. I love Coleman Domingo's sex advice where he raises his leg. And then, of course, Jane copies the move later on. Hilarious. And, of course, happy to see Ben getting a lot of love. People are talking not very nicely about Mr. Ben. And I get it. They have a right to their opinion. People seem to think he's possibly on his way out. I don't get that at all. I think I think he's doing a lot of good work, but people have a right to their opinion. And I guess, a lot of people are saying that, he was better off when he was a part of the trio. Well, that they wanted to do their own things, So anyways, I thought Ben was great here. And I'm glad he was in a lot of sketches because I do not want him to leave because I think he brings a different flavor. He's kind of reserved. People are also saying that he's sort of Mikey-like. I don't love comparing the cast too much, but you can't help but do it. But I think Ben's his own thing, and he's always going to be the big carrot to me from last week. But I enjoyed him. I enjoyed him all night. We're going to talk about a sketch later on where he plays a table. And I think Ben's game to do anything, and I love that about him. I'm also happy to see this was a great night for Cam. He was in a lot of sketches as well. So I'm glad to see the newbies getting a lot of time. And I enjoyed Barbershop. And it obviously this was a Keenan also having a great night. Really, this was an ideal Keenan showcase. Keenan and Coleman seemed like they were really, maybe they're friends outside the show. Maybe they're pals. They've both been in showbiz almost as long. Keenan's quite a bit younger. I think Coleman's closer to mine and Deej's age. But I really like their chemistry. All in all, this was a very fun pre-tape, and I salute all of the folks who were in it, and I salute the fabulous film unit team who got the barbershop vibe perfect.
It has been said many times when there's a black host, it gives more opportunity for the other black cast members to do a bit more. The black male barbershop culture is also a very specific vibe. And I believe Coleman actually did mention his age in the monologue.
56.
I want to say he said 56, same age as me. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's a year younger than me. Cam had a really good night. I'm very glad he did. Regarding your comments about Ben, I don't see him going. I think he's been much better outside of Please Don't Destroy. And it's the same with any kind of rookie, even though he's been with the show. But then again, there's lots of people who were featured players were originally writers. Mikey Day being one of them. It is a place for therapy. Jane, Cam, and Jeremy are having a really, really good night. Oh, and in regards to what Debbie was saying about laughing, because Debbie, I believe like me, you watch by yourself.
That's correct.
There's the notion that you're more likely to laugh at something out loud if you have other people with you. So I find it a testament to the humor and the success of the comedy with how many times I laughed out loud throughout the show. And this is one where I did exactly that. Funny can be amplified if there's someone else to give you so-called social permission to laugh.
That's probably why I bring it up so much, but I forget that not everyone knows that I'm usually watching it by myself. This is why diverse hosts are important. This is why diverse backgrounds are important, because you could not get a sketch like this with a white host. Even if you could get it, I don't think they would do it. Funny, cool slice of life almost, and the vibe. We've all gotten our hair done. We all know, as ladies, we all know the stereotype of like your hairdressers or your therapist. So there's a little bit of crossover there. I thought it was shot really well. Coleman Domingo giving sex advice because he's gay, he's married with a husband, giving straight sex advice. Like that was a little bit of an in-joke that was kind of funny because it was very sexual.
I don't know why he hasn't been on the show. Why wasn't he on the show in the freaking 90s? He's been around forever. Like Walton Goggins, who's been around forever. They had to have like a breakout moment to get attention, and that's a shame, but I'm glad. Hey, I'm not going to complain. I'm glad they're bringing these guys in now because they are very deserving.
Well, it's also the timing with the Michael Jackson movie. This week, the season premiere of Euphoria. Promotionally, there were some things that added to the constellation.
Whatever the reason, I'm glad he was there, just like I'm really happy they brought Walton on last season. I like seeing these actors get their due. I wish they'd bring more actresses on. Hello, Meryl Streep, come on. I don't know. I've heard that she's very nervous to do it, but she'd kick ass. She would kick ass. So hopefully Meryl will come on one of these days. We can hope. So we're moving from the barbershop to the space shuttle. Coleman trying to make a profound, beautiful video. Mikey, Marcello, and a sleeping Sarah. The Artemis 2 has been big time in the news over here in the States. I mean, they had to do something. And Coleman is excellent. I love how he's trying so hard, but these idiots on the ship with him are just not getting it. And the Pringles floating in, Sarah with the Harry Potter doodles on her face. I mean, Sarah can do anything. She had very few lines, but again, she just just like Ashley, the facial expressions, the hair floating all over the place. I love Sarah, and she's perfectly used here. This is perfect Sarah. We're going to get more perfect Sarah at the very end of the night. Not in it a lot tonight, but when she's in it, it's just perfect choice to use her in these specific sketches and pre-tapes. Marcello also having a really good night, getting his penis stuck in the urination hose and floating around, screaming for help. Mikey being Mikey and just being the perfect foil to Marcello. You don't see Mikey and Marcello a lot in a lot of sketches together in this way, so I enjoyed that chemistry as well. All in all, good fun, very funny. They had a good time with gravity. Props to those special effects, folks, because this looked real. I mean, I cannot get over what they do in just a number of days. Now, granted, they've done outer spaceship scenes before, so they probably had a lot of the set, but still, just kudos for getting this so perfect. And yeah, this was ideal. It needed to be done. And I thought it was done in a very fun and funny way. And I could watch Sarah float around all day. She was my favorite part of this sketch.
The physicality in the sketch was so on point. Everybody was, I don't know if that's too much special effects, but largely physicality. Because even when Sarah was doing her spin going away, she was obviously just doing a regular spin, but the way they did it, she was definitely looked very real. Anytime the Canadian flag shows up, I'm always going to be very, very happy. Leads me to a very interesting real life moment. They were contacted by two world leaders. First was Mark Carney, a person I very much believe in as leader of our country. They had this great long conversation, the Canadian flag patch, so they're going to bring it back to Mark Carney with the autographs and all that, so he has had stuff that's gone into space. And then there's a clip shown of when Trump called the Artemis. Awkward!
Oh my God.
You have to look it up online to really get the idea of it, but I mean, Carney is very, very charismatic, very engaging, very well-spoken. And then there's Trump. But I can understand where it'd be pretty kind of boring in space, and that 10 days in a space capsule could kind of get you after a while. But yeah, it was all very subtle things, but I did really enjoy this.
I enjoyed this so much. I was just telling Shari, like, get ready. So I've been like watching the Artemis. I've been like, Artemis too crazy. I've been watching it. I watched like the last 4 days for sure. I watched almost the entire re-entry. I watched them like it was just, oh my God, they give a briefing in Houston. But so what was different about this mission is we've never flown this far away on the dark or the other side of the moon, because it's not technically a dark side. Whatever, the sunlight was at a different angle so they can get different views of the craters. No one's ever flown that far and then to fly back. What was different about this one, because I was like, you better keep this wholesome. Like, this was just a wholesome mission. Like, don't make this dirty. Don't make this like sully it. Don't make this bad. The difference between this and the one that was like 50 years ago in the Apollo program is that this time around we have smartphones. They couldn't legally say smartphones. They can't endorse any products, but they would describe it as personal computing devices, but it's a smartphone. It's an iPhone. So they were like specifically instructed to document as much as possible. They sent it all through NASA as like a mediary. They're not posting it to their Instagram or anything like that. I don't even know if that's possible. Do you need Wi-Fi for that? They were specifically instructed to take pictures, and they had extensive video feed in the capsule. So because of that, there was a lot more casual behavior being captured. There was like, the crew was like distinctly harmonious. They got along really well. It was the mission commanders mission commanders from Canada. The Victor Glover was the pilot, was the first black man in space. The mission supervisor was Christina Koch. No, Reed Weissman was the captain, I think, or the mission commander. But they all had like, and he was the one who lost his wife early, and they named a crater on the moon after her. It was just so beautiful, so much humanity, just insane. And the way that they all spoke so much of humanity, it was so emotional and so touching. They'd flown all the way out, and they were still so enamored with Earth. Even Shay alluded to it last episode. He's like, Victor Glover saw the Earth, and he's like, you look beautiful. And then Shay was like, leave it to the black guy to catcall the entire planet, which was good, because I was like, oh yeah, there is a mission going on right now. Picture perfect, like telemetry and re-entry is just such a marvel. So I was like, this sketch better not mess it up. So like Tadij was saying, mimicking the effects of zero gravity, floating in and out. I don't know how they were doing it to make it look like they were unstable, but the acting was great from everybody. There was Coleman Domingo playing Victor Glover, and he was being really sincere and earnest with his message for Earth and humanity, what he was thinking. I think it was actually very close to what he really was putting in his messages. And then you have Marcelo and Mikey Day, I think, playing with like the penis pump, like floating, doing like tricks with like zero gravity, but like putting like raising up into a hat and then taking it off, and like treat it like sophomores in a high school cafeteria. It was so funny because it was very close to what was actually happening. There was a jar of Nutella that like floated across the screen. Nutella was like, what's going on? Because they're not supposed to do that. But one of the astronauts had it, and it wasn't nailed down. It just happened to float across, and it was like the Wall Street Journal covered it. It was like the perfect product placement you could dream of, because it was like the label was, so when the Pringles floated by, that was supposed to be a play on that. Christina has really like frizzy hair, so all of her pictures, her hair is like sticking out all over the place. It's like, it looks cool, it looks very spacey. So I thought they really nailed it with Sarah, like floating in and out with like her hair everywhere, and she had like earmuffs on to mimic like sleeping pods or something. But she did a great job with the physical comedy, banging her around. I know a lot of people may have thought it was like making it look cheap, thinking it wasn't real, but it was so true to like the vibe of the mission and what was actually happening. It was very tuned in. I was so impressed. I'm sorry that maybe more people won't understand like how realistic it was, but it was so wholesome. I really appreciated it. It was great.
There was one time when Mike was coming in like basically flat from the right side of the screens. I'm not sure if was he being hoisted. Was he on a platform, or was he actually being hoisted up by stagehands? Personally, I think it's hoisted up by. First, I think it was hoisted up by stagehands. That is my guess at this time. And actually, I have a question for you, Demi. Is there a big connection between the Air Force and NASA?
Yes. They have to be pilots. Usually they're pilots from the Air Force or the Navy before they can be an astronaut. So I think Victor was a pilot, and so was Reed.
Now we're floating away from the spaceship, and now we're heading to PBS. And that's where we get, what if I told you and it is a PBS show, Knowledge Hour. Henry DeBreeze is Mr. Coleman Domingo, and he is saying, what if I told you that this table was not really a table? And that is the Ben moment I was talking about earlier. Ben gets up and he had the table on his back. That is like one of my favorite moments of the whole night. And just Ben's look to the camera. Hey, hey. Chloe's in the fireplace. Cam is in the bookshelf. And Coleman just keeps going around like, you think these are one thing, but they're really another. And on he goes until he gets to the vase. And the councilman's supposed to be in the vase, but he's not in the vase. And then Coleman has a breakdown about how he was doing all this just to impress a lady. And then in comes Andrew Dismukes as the vase with the flowers on his head, professing his love to Mr. DeBreeze. This was a hoot. I think they do so well with PBS shows. They always get the look just right. They always get the vibe just right. I think Coleman he just nails the part here, and I love that they get married. There's Keenan, and he's all set to do their vows. There's a lot of cast in this, as I've already named. Cam, Chloe, Mikey is the producer. Mikey's often the producer. He's very good at that. Jeremy as the ottoman. So another Jeremy moment. And then Andrew's the councilman vase, as I said. The painting is Keenan. He's a painting of a minister. A lot of cast gets in on this. And it was great fun. And again, how many times can we shout out the props and costume department? They were on fire here. I mean, literally on fire with Chloe, who they had dressed beautifully as Fire. One of my favorites of the night. I thought it was very clever. And I bet you there's a PBS show just like this. So yeah, I think they hit the notes just right.
So you could say he's all about that vase. Right? I cannot resist a musical reference. That's just who I am. I was kind of up and down with this sketch. The one highlight was when he went to the wrong side, referring to the clock, which was actually Cam in the bookshelf. And you can tell that wasn't quite scripted, but he handled it well. He just basically went on to the proper side to get the thing done with the clock and all that. So, but yeah, it just shows to his professionalism and his skill. Yeah, I was kind of like meh on the sketch. It was okay in some points, but it just didn't really do a lot for me. Went on a little long.
I'm going to tell you what I like about this sketch. Because sometimes there are points in the night where I'm not totally engaged with the TV. I don't know what I was doing. And when I saw like, what if I told you this was a man, which is funny because it's like Twilight Zone, but it's like the same answer every time because it is a man. When I looked up, I don't know what happened I have to rewatch it, I guess, but there was something that happened and like all the characters that were furniture had to leave. So I looked up and there's this visual of like 6 different pieces of furniture like standing up and just walking out sheepishly. That was so funny that whatever else was going on in the sketch, I was like, this sketch is funny because that was such a funny visual. That it was like, all right, no, we're not doing that. Everyone, let's go. And they all just exit. And when he's gonna marry the vase and he's like, we have a minister to officiate, and they turn around and like, and it's Keenan in the wall, like as a painter, as a painting of a minister, but he's actually a man. I thought it was very cute, very funny. I don't know how it was connected to reality at all, but that visual of them all getting up and leaving was very funny to me.
I also have to shout out Tommy as the clock. As Deej pointed out, Coleman went to the wrong place and quickly corrected himself, and out pops Tommy as the clock. Again, just the costuming, great. Tommy looked just like a clock. So this is just great fun. And now we move into the music. And it is Anitta with 2 T's from Brazil. I believe the first Brazilian musical guest I've heard. She did 2 songs. Which I'm probably going to butcher because I don't know Spanish that well, but Choca Choca is the first song, and then Velhas Quitas, I'll say, was the second song. The first song was fine. It was catchy enough. It didn't do a lot for me, but the second song I thought was beautiful. I don't know what she was saying, but it sounded like a love song. I thought her voice was beautiful, and I didn't really catch, she just sounded like another pop singer to me in the first song. But in the second song, I could really hear the depth of her voice and those notes. And I really enjoyed the second song quite a bit more. I'm always happy to see diverse, as Demi points out, diverse artists, different, there's others beside Bad Bunny out there who speak Spanish and can sing. So I was happy to see her. And she looked like she was having a good time. She can really dance. I thought her dancing was very impressive. As someone who cannot do choreographed dances very well, I always admire those who can. I thought the costumes were a little bizarre, but singers do bizarre costumes, so that was not a problem. All in all, I enjoyed her. I thought she definitely went with the vibe of the night, and she kept things very upbeat and was a lot of fun. And like I said, had a very pretty voice. Definitely preferred the second song.
See, I prefer the first song. I did look it up. She is the first Brazilian musical guest. First song, you can tell, is very cultural. Because a lot of the dance moves that are doing, you see all over Carnival, the Carnival in Brazil, basically celebrating her heritage, which, as she should. From the choreography standpoint, I did prefer the first performance, although the second song wasn't too bad either. They went very Garden of Eden with it, I thought, with the set. Was just her by herself, which sometimes is all you need. Really like the lighting and the choreography and the dancers in the first song. That's the one that really impressed me.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of her before. Not my kind of music. Even after hearing it, I'm like, I don't remember it at all. But she had a stage presence. She's diverse. She brought a whole new kind of music to SNL, and I love SNL for that because whatever it is, I will listen. Her Wikipedia, like her genres is crazy, and apparently she sings in 5 different languages, but her genre is generally pop, funk, karaoke. I don't know what that is. Funk melody, Latin pop, incorporating R&B, dance pop, electronic, EDM, reggae, and reggaeton. Sings in 5 different languages, including Spanish, Portuguese, English, Italian, and French. Wow, she's very accomplished. Really big deal. And not for me, but as an artist, I completely respect her, and I love SNL for bringing on new voices. Her set design looked very...
We have a name for our segment.
We do.
It's What's Up with Update, starring our fabulous producer and creator, Ms. Deej. Take it away, Deej.
Alrighty, so... let me get back up to the top of my notes, because there was a lot of notes I had to take down. I'm pretty much almost doing like a transcript of the episode. A tweet from Donald Trump: if Iran doesn't agree to peace, the greatest military of all time, ours, will fuck Iran right up their Strait of Hormuz. Assalamu alaikum, you crazy bastard. Now, Joe's completely made that up. But isn't it kind of disturbing that you all totally believe that he posted that? And yes, that is the epitome of the Trump administration, because that's why it's so hard to make fun of Trump, because of the crazy stuff he says. A post that Trump did actually make, threatening to destroy Iran's entire civilization, and then ended with the phrase, "Praise be to Allah." And I know that almost makes Trump sound like a radical terrorist, but remember, Trump has already been to a paradise with 72 virgins. Before the talks fell apart, Trump warned Iran about making any more demands. The Iranians don't seem to realize they have no cards, he said. They're literally holding us straight. That was brilliant.
Applause, applause, applause.
There was an interview with J.D. Vance, asked about Iran's right to process uranium. The analogy he made, and this is an actual clip: my wife has the right to skydive, but she doesn't jump out of an airplane because we have an agreement that she's not going to do that because I don't want my wife jumping out of an airplane. But we can all imagine his wife having the urge to jump. The joke itself for this next one was okay, but it was more of the reaction of Che regarding the dark side of the moon, revealing that the moon has a rat tail. And there's some light laughter, and Che quips that he wanted more from that. There are many things to hate about John F. Kennedy, but the voice is the worst of all. But he has announced that he's launching a new podcast. Podcast is called which he just shut the fuck up. The state with the most adult children that still live at home is New Jersey. Adult children in New Jersey are calling their sport, "Ma, why you gotta tell them that for?" I love the delivery on that. I don't know, just about the Jersey vibe I really, really love. that on Long Island. King Charles will be doing a joint address to Congress where, if God willing, he offers to take us back. The joke that was kind of led up to this was kind of meh, but Colin still had the mustache on his finger that he used in the cold open. Court that apparently putting sugar on your anus can help with hemorrhoids. Apparently that's also used with Toasters donuts, and yeah, you can't unsee it. Of course, it'd be even worse if it was chocolate donuts, but that's another thing altogether. So that is what's up with Update. The jokes that I liked.
All right. Thank you, Dee. That was perfect as always. You do such a good job of delivering these. I think you do great justice. So
Thank you.
Excellent work. Excellent work.
What's up with Update, parentheses, the jokes that Deej liked.
I love it. I'm going to talk about the correspondence because that's always my favorite part. Well, the two who are having a stellar night tonight, Marcelo and Cam, are the two kids from the back of the bus. I don't know about you two, but I'm assuming that we've all three ridden the school bus at some point in our growing up. And these two idiots, we all know them. They were in everybody's school bus trying to find any way they could to get Dee's nuts into a sentence. Colin is the frustrated grown-up figure. They all have such great chemistry together. Trying to get him to talk about inflation. It goes up and down. Very funny. And then, of course, Colin gets them with a wordplay zinger. And they just look at him like, you're corrupting us. It was great fun. I enjoyed it very much. I thought Cam and Marcelo, not a pairing we've seen a lot. I thought they were great together. They looked like they were having a ton of fun. Very much enjoyed that. And I believe I very much enjoyed the second update piece as well, which is our girl Jane doing what she does best, that wry, dry wit. And here she's the Gen Z sexpert, except she's not really had sex. And she keeps saying, well, do you think this is sex when I open up my legs and I roll backwards? And Che's like, no, that's a somersault. Really good chemistry. I'm happy to see Che getting some more more time with the correspondence, and he has really good chemistry with Jane. I think they're both very dry wit, and it's funny to see them playing off each other. And Jane just totally looks the part in this little cardigan, perfect demeanor. She looks very scared. Three really good correspondents, I should say. Marcelo and Cam started off, and Jane puts a nice little button on it. So I enjoyed both of the correspondents tonight. Definitely one of my favorite parts of the show.
Yeah, I never root for anybody to be taken off the show, but this is why I'm very happy that Cam had a really good night. And he and Marcelo played really well off each other. So I think between Cam and Marcelo that Cam has found his person. I'm getting that feeling. We all know those jerks at the back of the bus. Colin getting in on that. Do you ever wonder how we are the way we are? Well, I guess I hadn't thought of that. I can't be sensitive about that because when I was younger, I was diagnosed with ligma. What's ligma? It's ligma fat nuts. And then the other comments from Che is like, why do you have fat nuts, man? And Colin Joe's response is perfect. Ask God. Because sometimes it's not always about the joke. It's sometimes about the reaction to the joke. I was very proud of Cam for tonight. Nice. He didn't have such a great night last week. I think he's going to stay. Because as they get closer, you get more stuff in and you get more comfortable. And then we go over to Jane. She's not only finding her own comedic voice, she's now finding other voices. Because this was such a different type of character for her. Very upbeat. There was still that nervousness that she really plays with well. But it's like Seth said, if someone's not doing a good job, you don't want the update host to be mean to them. Because Seth was always like, well, Stefan, trying to correct him and help him do his job better. If he was just yelling at her, it wouldn't work the same way. She was so cute, dressed really nice. I like the wig. Jane's going to be back next season. I'm pretty sure of it because there's been some low points, but it happens to everyone. Like right now, Patreon for Saturday Night Network, they're writing a 20 years later series, SNL, started with season 31. This last episode was Antonio Banderas. That was a complete shutout for Bill Hader. He sort of had this little slump in the middle of the first season, but then rebounded. Really rebounded once John Mulaney came along. For both Cam and Jane, yeah, they done good.
Yeah, on Reddit, this was actually the top-rated sketch for Sketch Sorting Sunday. Weekend Update, Just the News was the top-rated, most upvoted segment. And to echo, correspondence were great. 12-year-old boys accurate. Jane is a Gen X sex expert who probably has not had sex at all. Spot on, very funny, all of it. Great singers. They're literally holding us straight. Perfect.
All right. Well, we're getting to the end of the night, and we're definitely seeing that in these next couple of sketches and free tape. All right, so we're getting to Grandpa's Wake with Ashley, Marcelo, and Jeremy, Ben, Keenan. Boy, everybody's in this one, or a lot of them. Sarah, Veronica, Coleman, Jane, Mikey, Jadge, and they're putting Colin in sketches, man. Not the first guy I'd think of in the pimp world. He's like the icing on the cake here. Has the two grandsons learn about their grandfather. They didn't really know. They learned about his lifestyle. So all the pimps come in, Jadge and Ben and Coleman offering Marcelo, of course, the pretty boy, and telling Jeremy things like stay in college. Poor Jeremy. This was a I had guess a tiny bit of issue of you have a black host and you've got to do a pimp sketch. But I feel like Coleman wanted to do this. He seems like he's loving it. He wanted to put on that furry jacket and do that walk. And yeah, he just nails it. Of course, Keenan, how many pimps has Keenan played over his 23 years? He's sensational here. Ashley as the exasperated, put upon daughter who actually has no problem with her father's lifestyle. She's like she's not taken aback by any of it. She's grown up with it, we're assuming. The grandsons, however, are quite flummoxed by it. Jeremy is more upset about the fact that he keeps getting the comments like stay in college and decides he wants to prove himself. And we get that button at the end where he's in the little silver outfit, never having gotten a John. So I thought this was a very good second half of the night sketch. Very typical. Haven't seen a pimp sketch in a long time. So this one was great. I loved Veronica and Sarah. And Veronica hasn't been in a lot tonight, but when she's in it, she's in it. She goes and puts a smacker right on that. Whoever's in that casket. And then Mikey coming out of the casket with the cornrows. Mikey's done the cornrows before, and it just really suits him. Jane with her pregnant belly, which looks really realistic, and has the tattoo of Grandpa on it. This was just one ridiculous joke after another, and everybody just looked like they were having a great time. So yeah, this was like I said, a perfect second half of the night sketch.
Yeah, Ashley, just as the fulcrum of the sketch, I'm going to call it, because she has to sort of play both sides of the coins. Kind of reminds me of going back to Airplane. You got the two passengers who speak jive. They found someone on the plane who speaks jives. It's Barbara Billingsley from Leave It to Beaver. So you see this granny just down with the jive in her own little jigglier voice. Very similar to that. It's like this is something she's used to. She knows where the money comes from. And then you got the other side with all the pimps wanting to get Domingo hooked up, and not so much Jeremy. I'm pretty sure Coleman Domingo really supported this sketch. I'm well quite sure Keenan had a hand in this as well. Colin was a nice surprise, kind of almost break at one point, but he carried on. Was it Veronica and Sarah?
Veronica and Sarah, yes.
Yeah, Veronica, how they're mincing in. I love Veronica's little frilly skirt. And there was some debate on the SNL last night where is Mikey that character from the Waffle House? And yeah, he totally is. Because the guy had the cast on, the guy had the cornrows. Veronica weighing the smack. And of course, the other debate from last night was that a dummy or was that a person in the casket that they used? Come on. No, everyone played their parts well. Actually, again, she has impeccable timing with everybody. The different variety of pimps that we got. Very reminiscent of the movie Dr. Detroit. This one I did like quite a bit.
Definitely seemed like Coleman Domingo was all in on this, and just a parade of pimps paired with Ashley's very matter-of-fact welcoming and acceptance of them at her grandfather's funeral or father's funeral. I thought it was very funny, and it was very delightful to see the exaggerated pimp personas by the various cast members.
And our last live sketch of the night, prep school. We've seen this premise many times. The hoity-toity prep school with the wacky teacher, only this time it's math class. And the students are Jeremy, Andrew, Tommy, Ben, Cam, and Keenan as the janitor. Coleman as this teacher who wants to make math fun. And Andrew is having no part of it. Perfect end of the night sketch. I did not love it, but I did think Coleman was having a good time as this teacher who doesn't want to bother with the math book. He just wants to make math fun. And as someone who never was very good at math, if you could find a way to make math fun, bravo to you. So yeah, and I loved Andrew's exasperation and then falling out the window. That was pretty great. And then Coleman Domingo's character just taking off. And Keenan carrying on with the mathematics. And the whole thing with the number 8 being the sexiest number. This was a very silly, goofy way to end the night, live sketch-wise. We did have a pre-tape that I didn't see coming, but they did squeeze a pre-tape in at the end. But yeah, this was definitely 10-to-1 kind of sketch. And I think it did what it needed to do. It got us to the end with a couple giggles.
Full disclosure, because I was having a bit of a day that my radiator breaking down on my car and having to take care of that and the sticker shock of the repair. I was very tired. And unfortunately, by the time this sketch came on, I was getting a little sleepy. Because I was working the day, I did not have time to rewatch the episode. So I really can't rightfully comment on this. It's not often that I fall asleep like that. But for the little bits I caught, it seemed okay. But yeah, math is hard. Algebra made me cry. Fuck algebra. Although this is funny, because in my job, I use a lot of math. So to Excel formulas, I guess.
I have a slightly different take. As a reformed math hater, I have a master's degree in math science, a science degree. So I have a very deep appreciation of math now. So I looked at this as like, it was like a throwaway sketch, like, oh, the cool teacher, like at the trope, Mr. Bunting, like we've seen all like prep school stuff go chaotic. It's not a new thing. But what I liked about it was it seemed almost like to encapsulate the anti-intellectualism that's going on right now. Like, oh, you can just vibe it. You can just vibe through it. It's like, no, you cannot vibe through math. There are rules. That's why it's hard, because there are rules. But once you understand the rules, it changes the way you look at everything. So I really loved, and I know Mikey probably he got panned for this. It's like, oh, he's like the stick in the mud. Like, no, guys, math, you can't assign a color to math. And everyone's so excited about it because nobody really likes math in high school, really. But Mikey does, or Mikey has respect for it, which I loved as an adult. I'm like, yeah, Mikey, that's right. Speak for the math and science. Speak up for STEM. That's why we went to the moon. So I really liked it. I think it was really satisfying for me for Mikey to like not tolerate at all what he's saying about math and making it fun. He's like, it's not supposed to be fun. I'm like, that's right. It's not supposed to be fun. But then it fell out the window. So I guess I'm just glad he got his message out there, really. And Coleman Domingo, it was really such a performance-centered sketch. And he really made a meal out of being the professor who cares not for numbers and rules and theorems. It was so funny the way he was playing it. He was so delighted with being able to play a teacher like that. And I thought, or not, Mikey wasn't the one. It was Andrew. My bad. Andrew was the one who was playing the stick in the mud, so to speak. And I thought the whole thing was very satisfying. Would I thought it was funny in like a different era of my life? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But as where I am right now at this part of my life, I thought it was very funny. I appreciated it a lot.
As Katie had said in the classic Mean Girls, math is the same across the world.
Excellent way to wrap it up, Deej.
Exactly.
And I thought this was the end of the night. I was ending my notes. This is the second time this season that's happened where they sneak in that pre-tape. And that's what they did. They snuck it in, and it felt like it was just an ad for a show or something.
So it would be like, so you think this is the end of the show?
Exactly, but it's not. It was Beastomorphs. with Sarah, Marcelo, Tommy, Veronica, and of course Coleman as the villain here. This, me being a librarian, this harkens back to a very popular series of books. Demi is nodding her head because the millennials grew up with these. Animorphs, where the kids change into animals. And Marcelo's a chicken, Veronica's a pig, Sarah's the frog, and Tommy is a dog, I think.
Tommy was a tiger.
So silly. The special effects again. And of course, Sarah, Sarah, this had to be a Sarah Bula something. They had to both be involved because Sarah burps and farts or something. So she doesn't turn all the way back to girl. She ends up with the frog face. And they had thought they defeated the villain, and he comes back and he thinks Sarah's beautiful. And then Sarah ends up turning back into a frog and he smashes her. And that's the button. Absolutely 100% end of the night goofiness and a chance for the film crews to show just how good the special effects are and what they can do. Probably a lot of millennials, especially, are going to remember Animorphs. I mean, they got the look perfect. I knew it because I gave those books out a lot back in the early part of my career. So this was hilarious. And Sarah getting to burp and fart and spit, she loves it. So she got to do a lot of it. And then Coleman came with his classic line about it's really smelling in here. It was a perfectly ridiculous way to end the night. And I am glad it got in under the wire because it was really very well done, even if the writing was not that great. But you could tell everybody was having a good time. Coleman just looked like he was loving every minute of it. So, yeah, I thought this was a perfectly fine way to end the evening.
It definitely captured that era of the 90s once Power Rangers was a thing. And then you found all these different offshoots like Big Bad Beetleborgs and teens either transforming into something or turning into something. This reminded me of that cadence of the introduction because a lot of the shows had the introductory voiceover before the episode started. It's a real deep cut, and there are some episodes available online. It's absolutely ridiculous. Look up a show called Vampires. Not vampires, VAN-PIRES.
When a mysterious meteor crashes into a lonely junkyard, derelict vans and cars take on human-like life. The vampires suck the gas from innocent cars to feed their need for speed and drain the planet of all its fuel. Only 4 teenagers, transformed by the meteor, stand between the vampires and a world sucked dry and running on empty. Part team, part car, all hero. The motivators must fight the night to save the day. So check your fear and get in gear. The vampires are here.
One thing that'll give you an idea of the quality of the show. There's this one character that was basically the guy they hang out with who owns a junkyard. His name is Van Heel Singh because he used to be a roadie and in rock and roll. But which is, of course, a take on Van Helsing. It doesn't say in the credits who this actor is. So I'm guessing that he was so embarrassed by being part of this show, he did not want his name connected to it. Someday I'm going to find out who that guy is. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I am determined to do so. The other thing about vampires, the animation is so awful. A definite good, not quite so bad it's good, but so bad it's entertaining. I kind of call it the room of the Power Rangers inspired knockoffs.
As an elder millennial, which means I was just a little bit too old when the stuff came out, I remember the cover of the books showing like the shape shifting from a sixth grader, whatever, I don't know, to an animal. I did think it was really funny. Someone pointed out the animals they were transferring into were like not threatening at all, like a frog, a chicken, it was a dog. It was just like really random, not very fearsome animals. But I was just marveling because when that animation technology existed, that was like cutting edge stuff. Just show in real time a kid turning into a mouse, I don't know, a bat. I don't know what they did. I didn't actually watch the show. They're a little bit too old. That was like considered really, really cool. Like what's the cover of the book, that was like a major selling point. And the fact that we've come so far that SNL could, I'm sure it wasn't easy that you can just do it in 5 minutes, although what do I know, that they could mimic that special effect for a pre-tape. I just thought that was so cool just to watch that. And I don't think people that are like Gen Z, I don't think they realize what a beat for beat homage that was to those kinds of television shows in the, was that late 90s? Yeah, that would be late 90s for sure. Mid 90s, actually. Early to mid 90s. That was like kids turning into things and fighting crime. That was like a thing that I just a little bit too old for, but I was just so appreciative, and it was such a tight storyline. And the special effects on Sarah's face to make her a frog, and trying to different combinations of farting and burping. I don't like fart humor. I don't like it. I think it's stupid, but SNL keeps testing me. They keep doing fart humor, and I'm like, that's really funny. And it was really funny listening to her like trying to get the right combination to like change all the way back. Very funny. Appreciate it a lot. Coleman Domingo as the evil guy that all of a sudden wants to like date the half frog. Very bizarre, all of it. But it was such a nice love letter to the shows of that genre in that time period.
Oh, and Marcel having to go home. The funny walk he did on the way out. Yeah. B5 fit there a couple times.
Oh, yeah, because he shit his pants.
All right. Well, we're coming to the rating part of the show.
Pimps.
Okay. Pimps. Pimps was my thought, too. I enjoyed this episode not as much as I've enjoyed some of the others. It was probably kind of in my bottom half, but it was not Coleman's fault. I loved him. I felt the writing could have been a little stronger, but I still enjoyed it. So I'm giving this 6 funky pimps. It was a fun night, but it was a decent episode.
Well, I'm going to take that number and flip it upside down and make that a 9 because I can.
It's like visual design humor.
Yeah, no, Coleman was the perfect host. You can tell he had sketch experience, and he was there to play with everybody. And there was a lot of good various cast representation. People were in a bit less, but still, I think everybody had their time. Just a big improvement with Cam's exposure and Jane's exposure. I'm really not worried about Ben. Still think he's going to be in it for another season at least. Yeah, but yeah, no, I will definitely be watching this again once I have some time.
Yeah, I originally said 8.75. Funky Pimps, Funeral Pimps, either one. I'm gonna say that. Yeah, 8.75. I guess I'm gonna stick to it just because I might go with 9, just because my bar is how many times it makes me laugh out loud with no one else around. This one made me laugh out loud more than 2 sketches. I remember laughing, being like delighted and like hooting with laughter. That's actually gonna be my new metric going forward. 9 pimps, 9 funky pimps.
And we cannot end this episode without mentioning the cut during the good nights.
Yes.
Coleman was just on this, what sounds like to be a very sweet and meaningful speech when I watched online later. Why did they choose that time to cut it off? He got his first sentence out. I'm watching live on Global in Canada, and they just completely cut out. Whoever did the switch on that, bad. Don't do that again.
Yeah, it was a bummer. I know the full thing is posted online. I haven't seen it yet. But I was saying, to all the little boys, coming soon to The Voice. I'm like, what the? This is much less inspirational than I think was about to be said, and I missed it.
Next Saturday, we have no Saturday Night Lives at all. No UK. No US. UK will be back on the 25th. US will be back on the 1st of May, if I'm not mistaken. And we will be having a double duty episode with Olivia Rodrigo. So that's definitely going to be a ladies' night. So from all of us here at Wacky Notion Productions, from me, Deej, Shari, and Demi, although the world may seem pretty bleak, you must go forth and find the funny.
Funny as hope.
Saturday Night Ladies is a presentation of Wacky Notion Productions. Hosted by Deej Behrens, Shari Fesco, and Demi Constantine. Recorded and edited by Deej Behrens. Off-week show research by Shari Fesco. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, just email SaturdayNightLadies1978 @gmail.com. And as always, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for listening.